another popular jurisdiction, Malta. We know that there's a legal matter being, I guess, litigated right now. What is your sense? I know nobody has a crystal ball, but given that you're European and you have a legal background, what are your initial thoughts? And again, nobody's holding you to any predictions, but what are your thoughts as to how this matter would unfold?
It is. I mean, it's a very, very interesting case, and it's a very interesting thing. I mean, I believe that basically on one side, every country has its own right to decide who is going to be a citizen on legal grounds. It is understandable as well that the European Union, in some way, wants to make sure that the people that are going to be granted citizenship are of good standards, which is actually what the Maltese authorities do. They have, I believe it is the strictest compliance process in terms of citizenship. It is very, very hard, to be honest with you. I work not only here in Henley, but in another Maltese company as well. It is very, very hard. It's very, very strict. And it is the most successful, if not one of the most successful, citizenship and investment regulations worldwide. But coming to your questions, at the end of the day, what I believe it is that there's going to be, in terms of the result, Malta has a very strong case under its arm for certain. The result of that, who knows what can happen, but we always expect they are positive for the whole market, not only for Malta, for the whole investment migration market, and for that I mean all the stakeholders, including the European Union, because at the end of the day, these programs, they bring a huge load of foreign direct investment. They bring just basically prosperity in terms of the money, the contributions give to the national funds that allows to build roads, to build schools, to build shelters or different NGOs activities that they can do. It helps as well to bring nationals from another jurisdictions which are already successful entrepreneurs, and they can fall in love with the country and then move there and pay their taxes. So, I mean, I think that it is a win-to-win situation. Important thing, it is compliance procedures. I think that, we all hope that it is going to come into a good decision for everyone. But right now, we have to wait and see.
Okay, understood. Wait and see. So yes, there are definitely benefits, but on the flip side, I mean, the EU has made it clear they don't like it. They grabbed any excuse available, like what we saw in Cyprus, Montenegro, and there's the argument that people are being, yes, they get citizenship for, let's say, Malta or Portugal, but they don't stay there. Malta's pretty tiny, right? So they use it as a gateway into the European Union, and particularly if they come through like a golden visa route where there's minimum or no residency requirement. They don't necessarily have that connection to the country, to Europe. So I guess I can see the different perspectives. And on the back of that, in December, one of the senior government officials in Portugal, he made some comments that they were suitably vague about reviewing the golden visa program, but people somehow interpreted that in a negative rather than a positive way. So I'm asking two things. What are your interpretations of the sentiment coming from Portugal, and whether there are similar reflections on the part of the government in Spain as well?
Perfect. Excellent. I mean, on that, basically, would like to go back into something that you touch base in terms of the genuine links, with a future citizen and the country. At the end of the day, those genuine links, in terms of Malta, they are basically given because not only the applicant is making its contribution to the government, to the then donations to NGOs, but also he has his residence there. He stays in Malta for some time, and also once he's given citizenship, he is subject to compliance during the next 5 years, which is something that no other jurisdiction does it. The next 5 years he has to be subject to compliance. That is revised by Comunità Malta before the IAP agency, and yes, just basically it's very. All those sort of things are checks and balances that helps on that. So,
that's an interesting point. I wasn't aware of that. Could you talk a bit about the compliance that you have to abide by for 5 years? What exactly does one need to do?
No, it's fine. I mean, at the end of the day, once you're a citizen of Malta, every year you have to submit a compliance pack, which is basically a couple of forms declaring to the government where you're a tax resident and that you still have, or you're in compliance with the Maltese regulations that give you the right to be citizen, basically, having the property either purchase of over the minimum threshold of 750,000 or rented for over 18 or whatever it is in the particular case.
Okay.
That needs to be done basically on a yearly basis. The government does its own compliance, on the applicant, and that is done for 5 years. So this is a regular, follow up on the applicants to ensure that they are, proper Maltese. They don't do it just basically for anything. Anything happens at the end of the day, you never know what is going to happen in the future. So that is a safeguard at the end of the day, which is also important. It's also interesting. That's why, I mean, in terms of compliance for Malta, it is the country that has the highest level of compliance, and it helps, to balance out, that sort of things. Also, their compliance procedure is top notch in the sense that the client needs to disclose absolutely everything, in terms of his assets and several different things. But so it's a very clear and transparent program. In terms of Portugal and Spain, I mean, you mentioned that back in December. Yes, that's correct. But after that, there were no changes of heart, let's put it that way. I mean, the Portuguese program remains open, remains strong, remains steady. It was a little bit of, just basically, how would you call it? Fear, let's put it that way, suddenly from one way to the other. But no, it's just basically that stays there, remains there as well. The same thing that in Spain. In Spain, there are no news that it is going to close or not, right? It's just basically, in fact, right now in December, there are a few things that have been modified for the good. So basically, the first residence card last year was issued for 2 years. This year is issued for 3 years, and that is renewed for 5 years. So there are very little things, but actually they show that the government is looking to keep on it, to keep with it. The Spanish program works very, very well. The Spanish government is very efficient. Once the application has been submitted, you have decisions very quick, very fast. So yes, I mean, I don't see those two programs going anywhere.
Okay, understood. Now I'm going to shift a little bit to the east. Cyprus. I saw somewhere in the headlines, I think it was last month. So we for those who are listening, we're having this conversation in February 2023. So when I say last month, I mean January. There was some headline about over 200 passports or citizenships were revoked from Cyprus, I think it was. Do you have any insight or any comments on that? And should one be concerned about that?
Well, I mean, I don't have much to comment there on, to be honest with you. If the Cyprus authorities basically decided to revoke those passports, it was basically because probably some rule of law wasn't followed at the time that was issued. So, I mean, it is, if that's the case, which should be the case, it is something that one would say, why? But at the same time, if the rule of law wasn't followed, they are doing the right thing. So it is righting a wrong at the end of the day, but it is perhaps a sad but a good notice for the audience in general. I would say.
Okay, good.
So if you're a 6, 7, or 8-figure investor, entrepreneur, or business owner who needs a tailor-made solution from a qualified team of professionals, we can help you achieve the international lifestyle, the freedom, and even the tax savings you're looking for. Visit us at htj.tax and live that international life.